Hey, happy Tuesday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. We are in the midst of examining the 23 arguments that David Hester presented here at the Preterist Pilgrim Weekend, July 14th through the 15th, 2016, in my formal debate with him. Dr. Hester gave in very rapid form and style 23 arguments. Now, as I've stated before, he did not go into any exegetical detail. He simply made bold, unproven assertions about given text, most of the time simply referring to them and never going there, never saying, now look, here's what it says, here's what it must mean, and for the following reasons. Now look, ladies and gentlemen, anyone can make bold assertions. But for those of you who have taken the time to watch the debate, and for those of you who will watch the debate, I would like to challenge you as kindly as possible. Watch my first two affirmatives. Take careful note of how I develop the arguments. All right? Notice how I went to the text, I went to the prophetic background of those texts, I argued from the explicit statements of both the text and the prophetic background of the text, and I contrasted that with David Hester's views. Contrast that then with Dr. David Hester's approach. For instance, his argument number 9. The resurrection is either physical or spiritual. Well, that much is true, as we admitted and noted yesterday in examining his argument number 8. But what did Dr. Hester do? He says, well, 1 Corinthians 15, if Preston is right, pardon me, it means we have no hope. He didn't prove, he didn't exegete, he claimed. Now, here's something that you need to know about Dr. Hester's approach to 1 Corinthians 15. His basic presuppositional approach is there were those at Corinth who were denying physical resurrection. Now, here's something absolutely amazing. Over and over and over again in his argumentation, Dr. Hester referred to the, quote, physical resurrection. Do you realize, ladies and gentlemen, there is not a single text in all of the Bible that uses the term physical resurrection? There is likewise not a single text in all of the Bible that even suggests, hints, or demands, pardon me, a physical resurrection. Dr. David Hester said Christ was raised physically. Yes, he was. I affirm that. But let me point out once again that Jesus' physical resurrection was a sign of the spiritual realities. That's what John teaches in John 20, 30 and 31. But let me come back to the argument that I presented at least 6 times in our debate. An argument that David Hester did not, could not, and will never substantively respond to. The resurrection of Daniel chapter 12 is the resurrection of John 5, 28 and 29. It is the resurrection of Acts 24, 14 and 15. But that demands that the resurrection of Daniel 12 is likewise the resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15. And here's why. Because Dr. David Hester would agree, he would argue, he would admit that the resurrection of John 5, 28 and 29, the resurrection of Acts 24, 14 and 15 is in fact the resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15. Now, folks, I noted this 6 times in the debate. Dr. David Hester never denied the connection between John 5, Acts 24, and 1 Corinthians 15. Okay, then since John 5 and Acts 24 equal 1 Corinthians 15, and since Daniel 12 is the same resurrection of John 5 and Acts 24, David, Hester agreeing, that absolutely demands, ladies and gentlemen, as I noted repeatedly, logically, that demands, it doesn't hint, it doesn't imply, it demands that the resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15 is the resurrection of Daniel chapter 12. But the resurrection of Daniel 12 was in AD 70. Daniel 12 verse 7. I know this sounds repetitious, but look, folks, you have to catch the power of this argument. David Hester caught the power of it. That's why he refused to deal with it. That's why he could not deal with it. That's why no one else who tries to maintain a futurist resurrection cannot deal with Daniel chapter 12 or other texts either. So let me say this very simply. Daniel 12, the resurrection of Daniel 12, is the resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15. The resurrection of Daniel chapter 12 was when the power of the holy people was completely shattered. The power of the holy people was completely shattered in AD 70. Therefore, the resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15 was completely fulfilled in AD 70. You will listen and you will watch in vain the debate that I had with Dr. David Hester. You will not see or hear him answer that argument. Thanks so much for joining me for this morning's Morning Musings. Don't forget, for an extensive development of the resurrection and absolute proof that it occurred in AD 70, get my book, 70 Weeks Are Determined for the Resurrection. Now, this is an exegetical, in-depth exegetical study of Daniel 9 and the resurrection. And this book will absolutely blow you away at how powerful the evidence is, the exegetical evidence, not bold assertions like Dr. Hester offers, but the actual exegetical evidence to prove that the resurrection was in AD 70. Go to my website, eschatology.org, BibleProphecy.com, order the book, mention that you saw the offer on YouTube or Facebook, and I'll refund your shipping, which will save you $5. And we have more. We will examine Dr. David Hester's argument number 10 on the flip side. We'll see you there.